So how do you make sure, if you are on thyroid hormone or thyroid medication, how do you make sure that it's working well? Because if you take T4, your TSH levels, let's say your TSH levels are abnormal. Usually the lab work goes from about 4.45 to 4.5 for TSH. So it's a pretty, wide range. Now, what happens if you're 4.4 with your conventional medical doctor? Nothing. Come back in 3 months, we'll test it again, and we'll see what happens. Well, what's likely going to happen? It's probably going to go up because nothing is being done to support it, and there's no education about how to support it. Let's say it comes back in 3 months and you're 4.7 and you're fatigued and you're constipated. That's another big thing that can be low thyroid indicator. You're losing hair. You have really, really difficult weight loss. You're tired all the time, and you kind of have swelling, and maybe you have a little bit of that goiter or swelling around your thyroid itself. And so you get put on levothyroxine or Synthroid, and those are two of the more common ones. And that is T4 hormone. Usually you take it first thing in the morning away from everything else because you need to make sure that you're absorbing it well enough. Now, if you're just on T4, that will tell your body to lower your TSH because it's got a feedback mechanism. It's kind of like a thermostat, or when a toilet fills up with water enough and turns off. And so that means that the body's like, well, I have enough T4, so I don't need to keep raising my TSH to tell the body, make T4, make more T4, make more T4, which is the signal that the body uses to communicate. So if you artificially add in the T4, then you're going to have a feedback mechanism and your TSH is going to go down. At that point, conventionally, you will be told that your thyroid is in range and you have the right prescription dose because the lab says so, even if your symptoms don't necessarily say so. And this is a big problem, I think, with convention, just because a lot of people's symptoms aren't managed, and they're not managed even though their thyroid labs say that they're perfect. And ideally, if people bring labs to me and it's just a TSH, if you're over 2 on that general range I gave you, I know your thyroid is sluggish. I know your thyroid is struggling. And so in that case, especially, that's proactive, right? That's preventative. That's taking the bull by the horns and deciding that we're going to do something about it. Well, it's over 2. That means that it's out of balance. What are we going to do to fix it? And so if you go to naturopathicmd.com, you can get appointments to talk about how to fix it. You can get lab work to see where your other levels stand. But just for your information now, if you're over 2 with your TSH, you're struggling. And it makes sense if you're tired. And it makes sense if you're depressed. And it makes sense if you're fatigued and you have trouble losing weight and you're losing your hair and you're constipated and you have dry skin.